Hey, welcome to the Scott Hamilton Show. We are in that weird space between Christmas and New Year's. Holiday season still going on, but the end is in sight. New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, just a few days away. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot going on, especially in the world of sports, especially in the world of college football. Man, the college football playoff is right around the corner from continuing. We had those opening round games, seems like a million years ago, where the quarterfinals just around the corner. We get that first game on New Year's Eve, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of things today on this episode. Let's go ahead and get our rundown now and take a look at what's happening in this world of college sports, specifically with the college football playoff. Look at those games. I mean, those are some high-level games that I am tickled to death to get to. Just so excited for those games. Cotton Bowl, Ohio State and Miami. That's on New Year's Eve. It's going to be a standalone. They get that one all to themselves. And I remember when they first started the playoff, they were trying to make it a tradition where people would block off massive amounts of time on New Year's Eve to watch the first round, the semifinals. Remember, there were only 4 teams back then. But it was really poorly constructed, especially for the first games, because a lot of folks still work on New Year's Eve, and they weren't able to watch those games. So then they pivoted, and they've been kind of all over the map. I like what they've got right now, though. That'll be a primetime game, number 2 Ohio State versus number 10 Miami, and then New Year's Day. And look how palatable these games are. Oregon and Texas Tech in the Cotton Bowl, or Orange Bowl, rather. Alabama, Indiana in the Rose Bowl. Then you have Ole Miss and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I do not see a bad game on that roster. We will break it down throughout the week. Some other things going on in the headlines. Michigan hiring Utah coach Kyle Whittingham. That is an absolute slam dunk hire. I love that hire so much. And you can make the argument that it might be the most impactful hire throughout the entire coaching carousel, which is really saying something considering this has been the wildest coaching carousel we've ever seen. Of course, you've got Lane Kiffin, that whole rigmarole, him going to LSU, bailing on Ole Miss right before the playoff. How that works out, probably pretty good. He's going to have an infinite amount of resources. He's going to be able to cook the way he's always wanted to cook, except at a different level than he ever imagined. So good on Lane Kiffin. We'll see how that plays out. I like the Matt Campbell hire going to Penn State. He's a culture guy. He's now going to be able to do all the things he did at Iowa State, but on a different level at Penn State. How's that going to work out? I think it'll work out great. So that's a wonderful hire there. But this one hits different, because this is one of the blue-blooded programs in all of college football, only a couple of years removed from a national title, and it's one of the most identifiable brands in all of college athletics. But, and there's a big but with all of this, but Michigan has been bogged down for the better part of at least the last 5 years in a quagmire of just awfulness. Just a lot of bad stuff going on there, man. And it's almost in time with about the point where they were threatening to maybe fire Jim Harbaugh. Remember, he was struggling. He kept losing to Ohio State. They weren't really reaching the heights that they wanted when they hired him away from the NFL, from the San Francisco 49ers. But it's almost like, okay, they called him into the office. They restructured his contract. He took a pay cut. And then suddenly things just improved from there. On the field, they changed what they were doing. When he was his first few years at Michigan, he was trying to be up-tempo, throw the ball around, this, that, and the other, ran it back. When they went to a more smash-mouth, ground-oriented physical approach, that's when Michigan started winning football games again. And, oh, by the way, beating Ohio State. But what else happened along the way? We had the cheating scandal. We had Cheeseburger Gate. Can't forget about that. We had the assistant coach who was creeping around on computers, hacking into files and this, that, and the other. Don't forget about that happening. And just all kinds of awful just shadiness going on at a place that has always tried to carry itself above that. A little pious, if you ask me, but that's another topic for another day. Well, now we have the deal with Sharon Moore, who was fired earlier this month for cause. Who's going to be the coach at Notre Dame? Well, Kalen DeBoer pulled his name out of it. A whole bunch of other guys pulled their names out of it. whoever goes in there has to be a guy with unquestionable character, who's never had a hint of scandal, and who has to be willing maybe to swallow his pride a bit for the first year or two. I'm not going to say that completely, but it might be the case. Kyle Whittingham, and I don't know what happened to Utah for him to suddenly resign there after 21 years. In the end, he was insistent that I am not retiring, and evident by him being hired by Michigan. I can't imagine a better hire, because he's going to play the kind of football that always succeeds best at Michigan, that physical nature of football that I just referenced. He's never had a hint of scandal. He's won. And I'm just curious to see how he does now that he's going to have more resources. I think it's a wonderful fit. My only question really involves the process. It's kind of funny that he would step away from the only place he's known home for the better part of the last 25 years. I mean, he's from Utah, school there, ties all around that place, even at BYU. I mean, this is really different for him. I'm just wondering that if there were some discussions behind the scene that he needed to change. He's at some kind of loggerheads or whatever with the athletic director. And then this opportunity comes up. His agent, probably Jimmy Sexton, I'm willing to bet, reaches out to Michigan, and there's some conversations going. And when guys like Kalen DeBoer pull their name off the table, suddenly Kyle Whittingham is the next head coach at Michigan. I don't know. The dots might be too easily connected in that instance, but that's something that we'll explore probably throughout the rest of the week and definitely during the offseason. What else have we got going on? Oh, Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is staying at Notre Dame. Had some interest from the NFL, specifically the New York Giants. That's what the report said. But he is staying at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame stayed home, remember, opted to not play in their bowl game. Transfer portal keeps filling up. And today, news that Keith Adams Jr. over the weekend is entering the portal, running back, very happy with his playing time, unhappy with his playing time. He's a legacy guy. I mean, his dad played linebacker at Clemson, and here he goes leaving. And that's one of many topics we're going to chop up with Larry Williams, Tiger Illustrated. He's going to join us later in the program. And I want to ask him about this transfer, and I want to ask him about the direction of that program in general, of the Clemson program in general, and Dabo Swinney's place in it. What's his place going forward? That is a program that it's in a very, very different position than it was in just a few years ago. This is a program that went to the playoff every single year from 2015 to 2020, every single year. But since then, really since 2019, after getting boat raced by LSU in the national title game, things have not been as they were. Let's put it that way at Clemson. And you could talk about it being a deal with not having the generational quarterback or whatnot, but I think it runs deeper than that. Here's the troubling trend. Clemson lost one game in 2019, 2 games in 2020, 3 games in 2021, then 4 losses each, 2023, 2024, then 5 this year. And that includes losing to Penn State in the Pinstripe Bowl over the weekend. And we're going to break down that game with Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated when he joins us later in the program. That's a pattern. That's not an isolated incident. It's not something that's just popped up out of the blue. That is a pattern. What is the cause? And we know about Coach Dabo Swinney being reluctant to enter the transfer portal and to continue to try to focus to be a developmental program. They took 3 transfers over the offseason. Will help, wonderful pickup at edge rusher, defensive end, however you want to frame that position. But you got to do more than that in this day and age. You got to do better than that. And this is the biggest question. I can't wait to ask Larry when he comes aboard. What are they going to do at quarterback? Cade Klubnik's done. He's done. And he and Dabo have been ride or die for the better part of the last 3 years, even though things were not working. Are they going to stay in-house? Are they just going to, the next man up is going to be the starting quarterback, or is Dabo going to swallow his pride, flip the script, and go out and get one of those guys in the portal? The portal packed packed with really good quarterbacks, guys who've proven they can win and perform at the highest level. Does Clemson go out and get one of those guys? That's a question we'll have for Larry Williams. And speaking of the portal, South Carolina, 12 guys right now have entered the transfer portal for South Carolina. That includes Rodney Newsom, junior offensive lineman. He is now the 6th offensive lineman for the Gamecocks to enter the transfer portal. And I know that unit's got issues, and it's had issues, and it traditionally has issues. But man, 6 leaving the program. That's a lot. That's a lot of dudes leaving at one time from one position group. How do they address that? By the way, transfer portal opens on January 2nd, closes on January 16th. We've got that new 1 period now for the portal instead of having 2. So the old dates were, and I'm looking off my notes here, the old dates were December 9th to 28th and April 16th to 25th. That spring period is gone. It's no longer part of the equation. So now we've only got that 1 period. So that's what the coaches wanted. Is it a good idea? I think so, but I also think there's still some major issues with it, with having just this one. I know it sounds great in theory, but I think there are still issues to be resolved with this. And I've been trying to break it down a little bit, and I've got some thoughts on it. And I really, when you look at it like this, these guys are presumably students, right? Presumably students, right? But the window ends up being so darn tight that how can they accomplish everything they need to accomplish in order to transfer, be on the team, this, that, and the other? You've got the 2 transfer portals that run, again, last year, December 9th to 28th, April 16th to 25th. It's all changed. The December period, too busy. You had high school signings. Just don't forget about that early signing period. That's the thing that probably needs to go away before anything. The early signing period. And go back and have just the one in February. It made so much more sense. But now we've got this 1 period. Well, most schools are starting their second semester usually around the 20th of January. So even if some things have been worked out, and I'm using air quotes here, under the table, i.e. tampering, then how can they expect to expedite this process or at least make it look anything like it's above board? I don't understand how that can even be plausible. You got to visit your schools if you're doing your due diligence. You've got to commit to said school if you haven't already. And again, we're under the presumption that these things only happen when they officially enter the portal. You sign with the school, you get accepted by the school, which is a process in and of itself, getting accepted. You enroll, you move, you figure out where the heck you're going to live, and then you get ready. A lot of teams are having team meetings around the 9th or around the 10th. How do you accomplish all of that in 18 days or less? How do you do that? I just don't see how it's possible unless the tampering is evident, unless tampering is obvious. And all this, again, is going to be subject to litigation. I mean, antitrust laws are constantly being broached in college athletics today. They're constant. And the only thing that's really going to remedy that will be basically to become employees or to form unions. Or how about this, the novel idea, actually have contracts. I'm of the belief, and I saw this kicked around this morning, and I think it was actually John Calipari, the Arkansas basketball coach, who was throwing it out at a booster meeting or whatnot, how to regulate the portal, let everybody have one unlimited transfer, and then after that, you got to sit out. Sounds pretty simple. Why they haven't pushed it to that point yet, or they haven't rolled it back to that point, I don't know. So that's something we'll have to discuss over the next few days and weeks, especially when the portal opens back up and we get a good look at where people are headed, who's heading where, and what the end result is, what the rosters are going to look like. How hard is it for the coaches right now to fill their rosters with only one portal period? We don't know. Everything's being figured out on the fly, like a 12-team playoff, like the 14 playoff was basically being figured out on the fly. Everything is so fluid in the world of college athletics. And you can say what you want about the professional model. It works. It works. The NFL model works. And if that's what college athletics has to go to, then so be it. It works where you have the divisions. There's parity created across the board. The further the college athletics lean into that, then I think the happier we're going to end up being. We just have to learn to let go of the past. But that's another topic for another time. Larry Williams and Tiger Illustrated are going to join us in just a moment. We're going to take a break, and we're going to chop up Clemson's loss in the Pinstripe Bowl to Penn State. We're also going to take a look forward to 2026 and beyond when it comes to the Clemson Tigers. Larry Williams, Tiger Illustrated, joining us on the other side.
IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. And what is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things? To showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without healthcare insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back. Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated will be joining us shortly. We're going to look back at the Pinstripe Bowl and look ahead to Clemson 2026 and beyond. But I think this is worth visiting, though, for a moment. It's specifically Penn State, a program that is, well, it's undergoing massive changes. I mean, it's getting a coach for the first time in about 12 or 13 years. James Franklin won a lot of games, but he didn't win the big games. In Penn State, a preseason top 2, I believe, when you look back. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, number 2 in the preseason. I believe I had them 4th. I'll have to go back and look at my AP top 25 ballot. But Terry Smith has been the interim coach at Penn State since James Franklin was relieved of his job a couple months ago. He's a guy that played at Penn State. He's been on his staff since 2013, really since James Franklin arrived. And for him to be shepherding the program during the bowl game, that was a big
ago. As the clock is winding down, the crowd is chanting your name because of how much you mean to them. How much does Penn State and this program mean to you?
We lived on this model of sharpen the pencil, write your own script. We dictated the terms the last 4 games. I can't be more proud of these guys, the kids. They played their hearts out. What a resilient group. They could have laid down and quit. They didn't have to play. They didn't have to come show up here at the Pinstripe Bowl, but they did. And they played really, really hard. You know, it's just a testament of Penn State and the character it builds coming to a great university like that.
Coach, I think your fans or your players have something for you. Some grass clippings.
Thank goodness it wasn't Gatorade.
You mentioned just everybody being able to come together for these final 4 games. You close out the regular season with 3 straight wins, included with the bowl victory. What did it take for this group to come together?
It took everything. We had our backs to the wall. There was many opportunities. When I started, we lost the first 3 games. We could have very well quit, but they didn't. They chose another path. These are great lessons for life. Just perseverance, keep working. Good things can happen from just hard work and determination and bonding and banding together. This group, I love this group. They're just a special group of guys that this is the greatest moment in my life. Like, it's just a great moment for me, my family, and I said I wasn't going to do that again, but I'm just so happy for our guys.
Hey, 1-0, preaching the whole week, 1-0.
Coach, I can feel the emotion from you. What brings that up?
I love Penn State. I love football, and the game and Penn State have done amazing things for me and my family. I'm just thankful and grateful.
Thank you, Coach. Dave?
How can you not root for a guy like that?
The fans here that came to Yankee Stadium for this game.
Wow. Whether you're a Penn State fan or not, how can you not pull for a guy like that? And here's the thing. Clemson was down a bunch of people. They were the injuries, opt-outs, impending transfers. Clemson down about 30 players. Well, Penn State was shorthanded as well. Penn State had about 20 guys opt out. 4 offensive linemen, best running back, leading tackler, also playing without Drew Aller. Remember, Drew Aller, the starting quarterback, gone for most of the year. And what happened? Ethan Gruntmeyer goes in, he throws for career high 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. No big deal. No big deal. It's impressive how they rallied around Terry Smith, and it's really prudent, really a no-brainer for Matt Campbell to keep him on staff, to have him be a part of the new regime. It provides so much. First of all, continuity, institutional knowledge of the program as recently over the last decade, as well as going back from when he played himself. And just having him on staff is just such a magnanimous gesture for the new coach towards the players who are coming back, the ones who have relationships with him, how good it looks. It's a class move. It's a class move, but it's also a no-brainer on the part of Matt Campbell to keep him on staff. I just think it's brilliant, and it makes so much sense on so many levels. I'm happy to see it. What's going to happen with Clemson, though? I mean, what's Clemson's staff look like going forward? Garrett Riley, specifically, offensive coordinator. What are we going to see there? What's going to happen there? There has to be changes. And I have to think, and this will be one of the questions I ask Larry Williams, I have to think it's going to be the most impactful, can't say it enough, off seasons in Dabo Swinney's coaching tenure. Bigger than anything previously, because he had nowhere to go but up when he took over for Terry Bowden 16 years ago. But this is different. He set the standard himself. The standard at Clemson is one of his own making, and it's almost like a double-edged sword. You had all this incredible success. Well, now you have to sustain it. That's why Nick Saban was so brilliant. Mike Krzyzewski at Duke was so brilliant. You go on and on with these great coaches, their ability to stay at that high level. What's happening at Clemson with 1 loss, 2 losses, 4 losses, 5, that's troubling. That's troubling. How do they rebound? Can they rebound? Will they rebound? We'll ask Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated on the other side. Stick around. We're recording. All right. Let me do this little deal. All right. We're chopping up Clemson's loss to stay in the Pinstripe Bowl. But the bigger question isn't what happened during that game. It's what's going to happen in 2026 and beyond. Joining us now, it's Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated. Larry, a belated Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. And my first question for you is a pretty straightforward one. Is the Dabo Swinney model still doable in this modern age of college football?
Wow, that's a great question. Am I supposed to say yes or no?
What's your take?
I mean, I guess you would have to define what the model is. I think it's going to change. I think it has to change some. I mean, he's adapted some. You know, he got 3 guys out of the portal last year, one really important one, and will help. Jeremiah Alexander, a linebacker who I think is pretty good. The big question right now is he going to go get a quarterback, a big-time quarterback out of the portal? I haven't gotten many resounding indications that he will. But I think a lot of folks think he should. And so is he going to roll with Christopher Vezina? Is he or they going to roll with Christopher Vezina? I think it's he, because I think a lot of people in the football building believe they need to explore the portal to get a big-time playmaker. So still some ifs, Scott. I don't really – I hate to have a meandering nonsense answer to that question, but I think it's a more legitimate question, more legitimate than it's ever been, if that makes sense.
How much of it, though, is predicated upon the future of the staff, and specifically Garrett Riley? I mean, I have to think that if they do go in the portal, Garrett Riley will have a hand in that, I would think. Or if they don't go in the portal, he'll have a hand in that as well. Will Garrett Riley even be around? I mean, what does your gut feeling tell you about the future of Garrett Riley, his involvement with the program? You
mean, does Garrett Riley have a say right now in whether or not they go into the portal to get a quarterback?
Yeah. Yeah, if he's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think right now, from what I can gather, I think right now the biggest question in his mind is, will I be employed? maybe past this week. Sort of to your point. So I think, that's a tough one. And I think, one of the things that I focused on leading into the Pinstripe Bowl is Dabo, is he going to base part of his decision on Garrett Riley on the performance in the bowl game? Because you could argue it shouldn't matter at all, given the opt-outs and the skeleton crews on both sides of the field. But I wouldn't. I think I said in the article, and again, this was going into the Pinstripe Bowl, I wouldn't put it past Dabo to be placing at least some stock into the performance in the bowl game. And I think now, the offense performed so poorly in that game. Now I don't see how it can't really be part of the calculus in Swinney's mind. And so I said going in, I gave it based on my info and people I talked to. I said probably coin flip, maybe 60% chance Riley comes back. Now I would have to say it's probably less than a coin flip, less than 50% chance he comes back, maybe well less. But it's just such a complicated question. Like, if Dabo does pull the trigger there with Riley, who's he going to get? And so I'm not being pessimistic about it, and maybe that's what he's trying to determine right now is who can I get? That was really when he fired Brandon Streeter 3 years ago. I think the decision to fire Streeter was tied largely to the fact that he realized he had done some homework on Garrett Riley, and he realized he actually did have a good chance of landing Riley. So, but there's a lot of things stacked against them right now in terms of being attractive for an offensive coordinator. There's the reluctance, the portal reluctance, the quarterback elsewhere. There's the apparent fact that Dabo's not going to allow the next coordinator to bring staff with him. That's just been the way it's been under Dabo, through history. That's just not the way he rolls. There's the fact that Dabo tends to be pretty involved. He's in your business whether you're an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. And so, again, I'm not trying to throw a cold bucket of water on the idea that Dabo could, bring in an attractive replacement for Garrett Riley. But I'm just right now, I'm wondering, how much does that play into the decision? Who can he get? Who can't he get?
What happened? This was a team that had so much production coming back. You've got a veteran quarterback who's been Dabo's ride or die for 3 years, almost 4. And you have Garrett Riley, who was the up-and-coming hot name with offensive coordinator. It was a big deal when they got Garrett Riley. Where did it go sideways? What happened with Cade Klubnik? Where did he get off track? Because, and Larry, you know better than I do, do we put Cade Klubnik on the Mount Rushmore of biggest disappointments in Clemson history?
Boy, that's a tough one. Can I just get to your first question? Where did it all go wrong? I think it's tied to Cade in that you had a team that had spent all summer and most of the offseason hearing about how great it was going to be. And you go into that LSU game and the pressure is immense. And you see Cade sort of with that deer in headlights look early. And I think for a lot of Cade's teammates, including his defensive teammates, those guys had been around, 2 years ago when he had that deer in headlights look a lot during the 2023 season. And so I sort of think it was like, oh no, there's the old Cade. And just the confidence, I think you lose that game and their confidence is shot, and then it's kind of a snowball effect, the wrong kind of snowball. And Dabo even, I tend to think that he would rather moving forward play a patsy in the first game as opposed to the SEC type opponent that they are accustomed to playing, because he thinks that just shot their confidence, and he would have loved to have kind of what he calls a preseason game to get ready. Although, let's be honest, Penn State had 3 preseason games. Florida International, Villanova, I forgot who the other team was, but 3 preseason games for sure. And it didn't matter. I mean, they're confident, whatever it was, confidence, belief, just not being any good, that was revealed later on when they collapsed. And so, oh man, they had a lot of talent. I think it was the perfect storm of a lot of different things. If you want to include players making hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars on there and maybe being a little too impressed with themselves, I think you could include that in the ingredients. I think you also include, Cade's skittishness, sort of scatteredness, which is what we've already talked about. You include the offensive line wasn't nearly as good as they thought it was going to be. You include Antonio Williams being out, missing the first few games with an injury, hamstring injury he suffered against LSU. And then on the defensive side, Peter Woods and TJ Parker just weren't nearly what most people, including myself, thought they were going to be. And then you add into that the back end problems at safety, where just they're a bust waiting to happen, and that was true at the beginning of the season, and it was true the very end of the season against Penn State.
It's a lot to unpack, Larry, for one podcast. We'll have to get you back on. But before I let you go, though, I want to know what are you working on today? What are you working on for Tiger Illustrated?
Well, today I wrote for the article's already been published. All this talk about what's next and what changes are there going to be, and everybody's just in a tizzy over what is going to happen. Turning of the page. Well, we don't know a lot of it, some of it. What we do know, though, is they have a new strength and conditioning coach, Dennis Love, who replaces Joey Batson, a longtime successful strength and conditioning coach, 29 years. And one of the things that I didn't talk about earlier when you're asking me about sort of the recipe for a collapse or a bust of a team this year is this team and program has kind of lost its edge. It has lost its physical and mental toughness, I think, that you saw a lot more of during the glory days. And while I think you can certainly argue that it's mostly a function of not having players that are as good as they were back then, I do think it's fair to say that some of the strength and conditioning elements need to be improved to make this team less soft, I guess, in some areas. Even Penn State's interim coach, Terry Smith, said, we knew that we were really calloused through the season, and we knew if we just kept delivering body blow after body blows in that cold weather that they would eventually succumb. And they did. And honestly, if I were Dennis Love, the new strength coach, I would have that quote plastered all over my weight room for this entire off season, because I think there was certainly some truth to it.
Yeah, the Rocky Balboa comparison's a little too low hanging of fruit there, wouldn't you say? That keep having Penn State and talking about delivering body blow and being calloused and showing toughness. But you're right. That's a really interesting point. How this team really from the beginning against LSU, because I felt like LSU was way more physical in that opening game, way more physical.
Yes.
And LSU wasn't great this year.
That's
we were
right.
wrong on them too, though. Add that to the list of things we were wrong about. I think I had Texas as my number one team in the preseason. Had Clemson number 2.
Hey man, if you're smart like me, you don't have a top preseason. You just don't have one. You don't have a top 10. Then that way you can't be you can't be colossally wrong, which is what most people are these days.
Yeah, I tweeted out the other day, I'm also still available for stock tips and general life advice. But Larry, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a really busy guy, especially with this crossover right now with basketball. We'll have to get you back on about basketball. But I'm anxious to see what happens when the portal opens up in a couple of weeks. We'll have to get you back for sure.
Yeah, man, we're all everybody's anxious to see what happens. But always glad to visit with you, Scott.
All righty, it's Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated. Yeah, Larry, one of the all-time good guys, just all-time great guy. But it's a seismic moment for Clemson football. Seismic, I think that's an appropriate word. I mean, maybe the shocks have already happened, and now there's the recovery from the seismic moments. I don't really know how to properly frame it, but he hit something there with the toughness part. I mean, you can't overstate how important that was, and how there were times this year where they didn't look like the way they used to, where they were the most physical team. They were going to out-punch you and out-hit you and everything else. I mean, I think about the loss to Duke. Clemson teams of the past would never have been in that position, and then never would have had that happen the way it happened. I just LSU, which LSU at the time we thought was an elite program. They weren't, but LSU was more dominant physically on that opening night up at Death Valley in Clemson. Just there's going to be a lot to be decided over the next few weeks. And we're going to learn more about Dabo Swinney as a coach this offseason than at any other point in his tenure, because he's going to have to make some difficult decisions with regards to staff, with regards to personnel, and just general philosophies. Probably, how do you handle in this new age? How do you approach them? How do you deal with them? You've got to come at them from different angles now than at any point ever. So there's just going to be so much for him to adjust to, or to show he's going to adjust to, or if he adjusts. We don't know. But all we know for certain is something's got to change, because this was supposed to be the roster. This was supposed to be the team to validate everything. All this returning production, all these guys who had come up in the program were to validate everything that Dabo Swinney had said in the past few years regarding how to go approach not only coaching a team, but building a program in the 21st century. And it fell flat on its face. Just, I mean, and I'm also wondering this, and Larry Williams brought it up. The Peter Woodses of the world, those guys, I mean, we were looking at this roster saying this guy's going to the NFL, this guy's going to the NFL, this guy's going to the NFL, and maybe they ultimately do. But could we have been wrong? Could the NFL experts have been wrong? All the guys that had them on the draft boards have been wrong? Or maybe it was something else that kept them from realizing the potential, and they still are NFL caliber players, but for whatever reason, there's something inside that football facility at Clemson that's kept them from reaching that potential. I don't know. I just know something's not working there. And it's not a one-off. It's not like 1 year. You can't look at just this year and just say, oh, okay, it's isolated incident. No, we went back earlier in the show and we put 1 loss, 2 loss, 3, 4, now 5 in the regular, 6. I mean, something's got to be fixed and something's got to be changed, or some things. And it'll be an eventful offseason as we wait to see what it is. Hey, that's it for the Scott Hamilton Show. Want to thank Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated for coming aboard. Be sure to hit me up on X/Twitter at Scott H Sports, and send me a few comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to hear. Let me know what you'd like to talk about, or if you have any guest suggestions. But until next time, thanks for stopping by.